Everyone, welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books right here in the live studios in Hythe, Kent, southeast England. Just a short distance from the English Channel. Little late today, I'm so sorry. I was working 5.5 hours today on the audiobook, Proof Hearing, with Rasika Shirmani. We're making good progress. So I'll get right to the reading without further ado. I hope that you're all happy and well and safe and blissful by hearing the Brhad Bhagavatamrta together. Srimad-Bhagavatam Stotram, 5 verses glorifying the Srimad-Bhagavatam by Srila Sanatana Goswami. The basis of the Brhad Bhagavatamrta is the Bhagavatam, as are all the Rasa Shastras. So let us glorify the Bhagavatam. It goes like this. Sarva Shastrabdi Piyusha, Sarva Vedaika Satpala, Sarva Siddhanta Ratnaja, Sarva Lokaika Drikprada. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths. You are the only giver of sight to all the worlds. Sarva Bhagavata Prana, Srimad-Bhagavata Prabho, Kalidwandotitaditya, Sri Krishna Parivartita. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master, Srimad-Bhagavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Sri Krishna. Paramananda Pataya, Premavarshakshadayate, Sarvada Sarvasevyaya, Sri Krishnaya Namostume. I bow down to you, who are supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Sri Krishna himself. Madeka Bando Matsangin, Madguro Man Mahadana, Man Nistadaga Madbhagya, Mad Anandana Mostute. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy. I bow down to you. Asadu sadutadayin, atini chutatakada, hanamun chigadachin mam, premna ritkanta yospura. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me. I'll always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All right, we've reached the second part of Sri Brhad Bhagavatamrta, and Parikshit Maharaj is now beginning to respond to his mother Uttara's request to further enlighten her about what Shukadeva Goswami told her son Parikshit Maharaj, and Parikshit Maharaj is beginning to explain how it is that there is a place even above Vaikuntha. We begin with text 26, chapter 1, part 2, Brhad Bhagavatamrta. Sri Parikshit said, My dear mother, for you who live only for Sri Krishna, separation from him is intolerable. This question of yours is most praiseworthy. No one has ever asked this question before. Commentary. Parikshit wishes to encourage his mother so that her mind will easily focus on what he is about to say. He calls her Sri Krishna Jivita, which means either one who lives only for Sri Krishna or one whom Sri Krishna brought back to life. The second meaning alluding to Krishna's saving the life of Uttara by stopping the Brahmastra of Ashwatthama. Uttara is known for having suffered greatly in separation from Krishna. As Sutta Goswami described in the first canto of Srimad-Bhagavatam 1:10, 9 and 10. Subhadra, Draupadi, Kunti, Uttara, and Gandhari, and Dhritarashtra, Yuyutsu, Kripacharya, and Nakula, and Sahadev, and Bhimasen, and Domya, and ladies such as the daughter of Matsya, all nearly fainted because it was impossible for them to bear separation from Lord Krishna. King Virata, the father of Uttara, was adopted along with his sister Satyavati by a fisherman, Matsya. Since Virata was also called Matsya, the name Matsya Sutta, daughter of a fisherman, can indicate either Satyavati or her niece, Uttara. If we take the second of these alternatives, Uttara is mentioned twice in these two verses, indicating that she hankered for Krishna in separation even more intensely than the others. Therefore, it is quite appropriate for her to ask to confidentially, so confidentially, about Krishna's devotional service. Tatraiva, Tavaiva Yoga Prashna means the only relevant question is yours, Tava Eva. Few other persons would have had the proper devotional attitude to ask such a question. And again, the question is, there must be a place to accommodate the devotees, the most advanced devotees in Krishna consciousness. Please, and it must be above Vaikuntha. So please explain it to me. Text 27. Krishna himself granted me the fortunate privilege to be born here from your womb as a grandson of his dear friend Arjuna, the husband of Sri Subhadra. Commentary. Parikshit realizes that only by the special mercy of Sri Krishna will he be able to answer his mother's question, and accordingly he offers his homage to Krishna. In texts 27 through 31, he first describes the favors Krishna showed him throughout his life. In this verse, the word atra, here, has several related meanings. Parikshit was born in the holy land of Bharatvarsha, in its most pious central region, in the human species, in a dynasty of great Kshatriyas, and from the womb of Uttara, as the grandson of Krishna's friend, Arjuna. His birth was sat, auspicious, because it was connected with Krishna. Krishna protected Parikshit's unborn body from being destroyed by the weapon of Ashwatthama. And Parikshit's grandmother was Subhadra, Krishna's sister, not any of Arjuna's wives, not any other of Arjuna's wives. Text 28. To protect both me and you from the Brahmastra weapon, Krishna appeared within your womb, holding his disc and club. In my childhood, he led me to search constantly among men for his own form, a meditation worthy of the most exalted Vaishnavas. Commentary. When Krishna entered When Krishna entered the womb of Uttara to protect her child, he assumed his four-armed form and used both his disc and club to dispel the Brahmastra. This pastime is described in the 1st and 10th cantos of Srimad-Bhagavatam. With 4 long, beautiful arms, earrings of fiery gold, eyes blood red with fury, and his club constantly encircling him like a shooting star, the Lord whirled about the child. Because my mother surrendered unto Lord Krishna's lotus feet, the Lord, Sudarshan Chakra in hand, entered her womb and saved my body, the body of the last remaining descendant of the Kurus and the Pandavas, which was almost destroyed by the fiery weapon of Ashwatthama. Bhagavatam 10.1.6. The sight of the Lord's beautiful form within his mother's womb greatly impressed the unborn Parikshit. The Lord was only thumb high, but he was all transcendental. He had a beautiful, blackish, infallible body, and he wore a dress of lightning yellow and a helmet of blazing gold. The Lord was enriched with 4 hands and with earrings of molten gold. Thus he was seen by the child. Bhagavatam 1.2, 8 and 9. Although all through his childhood, Parikshit tried to find the same Lord he had seen in the womb. Whenever he saw a similar-looking person, he would ask himself, is this the same one? Srimad-Bhagavatam 1.12.30 describes the origin of his name. He would become famous in the world as Parikshit, examiner, because he would come to examine all human beings in his search for that personality whom he saw before his birth. Thus he would come to constantly contemplate the Lord. In this way, even in early childhood, Parikshit always meditated on the all-attractive form of Sri Krishna. Text 29. By him I was endowed with the qualities of great saints and made famous for subduing Kali. By faithfully following him, I gained wonderful royal opulences. Then, through a Brahmana's curse, he made me renounce everything. Commentary. By Sri Krishna's blessings, Parikshit had many saintly qualities, like selfless care for the people, respect for Brahminical authority, and strict adherence to his promises. These qualities he inherited from his ancestors, who were pious kings. As the Brahmana astrologers told Yudhishthira Maharaj at the time of Parikshit's birth, O son of Pritha, this child will be exactly like King Ikshvaku, son of Manu, in maintaining all those who are born, and in following the Brahminical principles, especially in being true to his promise. He will be exactly like Rama, the personality of Godhead, the son of Maharaj Dasharat. This child will be a munificent donor of charity and protector of the surrendered, like the famous King Shibi of the Ushinara country. And he will expand the name and fame of his family, like Bharat, the son of Maharaj Dushanta. Amongst great bowmen, he will be as good as the 2 Arjunas, Pandava Arjuna and Kartavirya Arjuna. He will be as irresistible as fire and as unsurpassable as the ocean. He will be as strong as a lion and as worthy as a shelter as the Himalaya mountains. He will be forbearing like the earth and as tolerant as his parents. In equanimity of mind, he will be like his grandfather, Yudhishthir, or Brahma. He will be munificent like Shiva, the lord of the Kailas hill. And he will be the resort of everyone, like the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, who is even the shelter of the goddess of fortune. The child will be almost as good as Lord Sri Krishna by following in his footsteps. In magnanimity, he will become as great as King Rantidev, and in religion, like Maharaj Yayati. He will be like Bali Maharaj in patience and a staunch devotee of Lord Krishna, like Prahlad Maharaj. This is Bhagavatam 1:12, 19 through 25. While on a victory tour of his kingdom, Parikshit came to Kurukshetra on the shore of the east-flowing Saraswati, and there confronted Kali, the personification of the modern age. Kali, in the form of a Shudra, was committing violence against a cow and a bull, who were actually the goddess Earth and personified religion. Parikshit subdued Kali, and thus, for the duration of his own reign, he limited the spread of Kali's influence. For this accomplishment, he would become world famous. By Krishna's grace, Parikshit's rule was a source of amazement to everyone. The kingdom was free from disturbance and abundant in wealth. But Parikshit lost interest in his royal opulence in a moment when cursed by Shringi, the son of the sage Shamika. The Brahmana's son cursed the king thus: "On the seventh day from today, a snake bird will bite that most wretched member of the dynasty because of his having broken the laws of etiquette by insulting my father." Bhagavatam 1:18, 37. Parikshit understood, however, that this curse was also Krishna's arrangement for his benefit. Otherwise, the king would never have committed such an offense against a pure sage, or the son of the sage would never have cursed the king, or Krishna would have empowered the king to neutralize the curse. The immediate effect of the curse was to awaken Parikshit's sense of renunciation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the controller of both the transcendental and mundane worlds, has graciously overtaken me in the form of a Brahmana's curse. Because of my being too much attached to family life, the Lord, in order to save me, has appeared before me in such a way that only out of fear I will detach myself from the world. Bhagavatam 1:19, 14. Because Parikshit was engrossed in household obligations, he considered himself sinful. But he was grateful that Sri Krishna, just to draw him close, appeared to him in the form of the Brahmana's curse. When an attached person in family life receives such a curse, he naturally becomes frightened. This is auspicious for the conditioned soul, because fear can help inspire renunciation, and in renunciation, Krishna can be achieved. Therefore, Krishna arranged for the Brahmana boy to curse Parikshit. What a nice purport. Text 30. When I heard that curse, I took it as most welcome. Sri Vasudeva, in the form of a Brahmana's disciple, was dragging me out of the blind well of family life and guiding me to choose to fast till death on the shore of the celestial Ganga. Commentary. By another fortunate circumstance, someone informed Parikshit that he was cursed to die in 7 days. Had Parikshit remained unaware of this news, he would never have gone to the bank of the Ganga to fast in preparation for death. Although Parikshit has poetically described the Brahmana's curse as a cause of fear, the truth is that when Parikshit learned of the curse, he was unfearing and even pleased. He was already hoping for such a reaction to his offense. Thus he says here, Mat priyang tam, I took it as most welcome. In the last chapter of the first canto of Srimad-Bhagavatam 119.2, just before hearing of the curse, Parikshit expressed his mind. Due to neglecting the injunctions of the Supreme Lord, I must certainly expect some difficulty to overcome me in the near future. I now desire without reservation that the calamity come directly upon me at once, for in this way I may be freed of the sinful reaction and not commit such an offense again. He wanted the reaction to come immediately, without delay, Nati, dear God, and he wanted the punishment to fall directly on himself, Adha, rather than on one of his sons or someone else. Here Parikshit calls his family life a blind well, a well from which he was incapable of lifting himself. Sri Krishna very kindly pulled him out of that well and brought him to the shore of the celestial river Ganga. Krishna, as Lord Vasudeva, the presiding deity of consciousness, also attracted Parikshit's mind to the idea of fasting from food and drink until death. Because the Lord personally took control of him, Parikshit did not remain in his palace and tried to counteract the curse by performing yajna, sacrifice, and prayaschita, atonement for an accidental fall into sinful activity. Krishna is Vasudeva, the super soul of all, and he is the son of Sri Vasudeva, who is a reservoir of supreme compassion and gentleness. Therefore, it was only natural for Krishna to favor his dear devotee, Parikshit, by arranging such a circumstance. Text 31. In the assembly of most eminent sages, the Lord dispelled my fear by explaining the truth through Shukadeva. And the Lord delighted me by granting the association of his dear devotees. Now I shall help you drink the nectar of topics about the Lord. Commentary. Many eminent sages, like Vashishta, Parashara, Vyas, and Narada, assembled to witness Parikshit's passing away. The word Goshtyam, which sometimes means in a discussion, indicates that first there was some debate among the sages, as described in Sri Haribhakti Sudodaya 3:20 and 21. Having been asked the truth about the Supreme Lord, the sages, who were expert in many scriptures, expounded a number of different theories. Each sage tried to refute the validity of what the others recommended for spiritual practice. They made various opposing claims. Hari is the Supreme Lord. Shiva is the Supreme Lord. The sun is the Supreme Lord. Time is the Supreme. Man's nature is supreme. Karma is supreme. The word Goshtyam can also mean in the assembly. Taken that way, it indicates that what Shukadeva told Parikshit was irrefutably authoritative, because the greatest sages of the universe unanimously approved it. the philosophical disagreements ended with the arrival of Shukadev. Through Shukadev, the son of Vyas, Krishna himself imparted to Parikshit the essential spiritual instructions of Srimad-Bhagavatam. Shukadev enlightened Parikshit in two ways, by teaching the factual nature of the body and the soul. He removed Parikshit's fear, his fear of the bite of the snake bird, Takshaka, and of the cycle of birth and death. And by teaching about the transcendental topics, such as the glories of devotional service to the personality of Godhead, Shukadev filled Parikshit with joy. By the time Parikshit spoke this verse to his mother, his divine spiritual master had already gone away, and the time for death had arrived. But Krishna continued to favor Parikshit by again blessing him with the association of a saintly Vaishnava, namely his own mother. Parikshit therefore says to her, "Now let me serve you Harikatamrta, the excellent nectarian topics of the Lord." To be able to drink Harikatamrta in the company of the Lord's beloved devotees is the most desirable achievement in life. Shall I repeat that? Oh, okay, I will. Thank you. To be able to drink Harikatamrita in the company of the Lord's beloved devotees is the most desirable achievement in life. Haribo. Text 32. I bow down to him, Sri Krishna, the reservoir of causeless mercy. Out of respect for the words of the Brahmana, I have accepted the appointed time for my demise. That time being momentarily delayed, I shall answer your question with one pointed attention by describing the essence of all Vaishnava scriptures. Commentary. Someone might think it inappropriate for a saintly person like Parikshit Maharaj to advertise his own good qualities. Anticipating such a doubt, Parikshit explains that everything praiseworthy he has said about himself is due only to the causeless mercy of Krishna. Krishna is the source of all undeserved mercy. If we see a generous person act kindly to someone undeserving, that kindness is but a small portion from the original, infinite repository of causeless mercy. Thus, Parikshit admits, even though I am the most fallen and unworthy soul, devoid of good qualities, many excellences have appeared in me, and these are nothing other than the excellences of Krishna. My speaking praise of myself, therefore, is faultless. These moments are supposed to be the last of King Parikshit's life, but somehow they are being extended so that he has time to satisfy his mother, who wants to hear the essence of the nectar of Srimad-Bhagavatam. Parikshit thus intends to give full attention to his answer, even at the cost of the yogic meditation he should perform while preparing for death. Text 33. I could satisfy your request by explaining to you the statements of Shrutis and Smritis, both in their literal meaning and in their implications. Commentary. One way to answer his mother's inquiry would be to systematically explain the authoritative philosophical statements of revealed scriptures. To do this, he would carefully have to discern which scriptural passages should be accepted literally and which need to be interpreted conditionally or figuratively to agree with what he already has established as real. Text 34. But I prefer to clarify this subject for you by first relating a history I learned by the mercy of my spiritual master. This narration will dispel your doubts. Commentary. Vyas never formally initiated his son, Shukadev Goswami, and Shukadev never formally initiated his student, Parikshit. Nonetheless, the entire tradition of hearing Srimad-Bhagavatam in the transcendental Bhagavat line of disciplic succession rests on the foundation of the relationship between Shukadev and Parikshit as guru and disciple. Parikshit will recount in his own words the essence of what he heard from his guru, taking care to present the literal facts in the most straightforward way. He does not want his mother to suffer any confusion or doubt. Text 35. Long ago in the city of Pragjitosh, there lived a poor Brahmana. He was ignorant of the teachings of Scripture, and he hankered after abundant wealth. Text 36 and 37. Every day he would faithfully worship Kamakya, the goddess of that place, and when she became satisfied, he received from her in a dream the 10-syllable mantra for worshipping the lotus feet of Madan Gopal. The goddess also gave him instructions on how to meditate upon the mantra and perform various details of practice. The mantra manifested itself before him like a valuable treasure chest opened right before his eyes. Commentary. This Brahmana lived in the northeast of India, in what is now the state of Assam. His city, Pragjyotish, had been the capital of Bhaumasura during the time of the advent of Lord Krishna. The Brahmana had never studied the scriptures properly, and he had never heard a basic explanation of their message from authorized teachers. That such an unfortunate fool achieved his ambitions proves the potency of the mantra he received. The 10-syllable Gopal mantra is defined in esoteric terms in the book Krama Dipika, an old Vaishnava Tantra by Keshava Acharya. Vedic and Tantric mantras should be chanted only by qualified persons who have received them through proper initiation. Therefore, when books discuss these mantras, special efforts are made to disguise the exact syllables of the mantra. Sometimes a few syllables are changed or inverted in the description, or sometimes, as in the Kramadipika's presentation of this Gopal mantra, the explanation is impossible to understand by those who are unfamiliar with the cryptic code being used. Thus, Kramadipika 2.5 describes the 10-syllable Gopal mantra as follows. The holder of the bow Shanga, the upper teeth, then Shura, and the second letter conjoined with the goddess Vamakshi, then the bearer of the trident, and Shori, and Bala, and twice the younger brother of Bala, and 4 more syllables. The deity worshipped by this mantra is Sri Madan Gopal, who happens to be the worshipable deity of Srila Sanatana Goswami. Kamakya Devi gave the Brahmana not only the mantra, but also the method for meditating on the mantra's deity. And, as implied by the word Adi and so on, She also told him how to touch his body to sanctify it with the syllables of the mantra, and how to worship the deity through various means, including appropriate hand gestures. How the Brahmana's attention attracted away from his worship of How was the Brahmana's attention attracted away from his worship of Devi? The Gopal mantra made such a vivid impression on him that he completely forgot his other religious activities. Text 38. On the order of the goddess, he chanted the mantra constantly to himself in a secluded place. Gradually, he gave up his desire for wealth, and his heart became satisfied. Commentary. The Brahmana was so foolish that he ignored the advice of the goddess and dismissed the mantra as the false creation of a dream. She then appeared to him in a second dream to repeat her instructions. Text 39. Ignorant of the real facts, he thought that something other than this mantra must be his means of success in the next life, and something else must be his final goal. Commentary. Lacking discrimination, the Brahmana was unable to recognize the value of the mantra relative to other things in his life. His judgment of what to accept and what to reject was impaired. But by the grace of the mantra, his mind, previously uninterested in the next life, now began to turn in that direction. The goddess had withheld from him knowledge about the full power of this mantra, and so he was imagining other goals and means of success. But as we shall later see in this narration, the effectiveness of the Gopal mantra, even when knowledge about it is lacking, is evidence of its great potency. The mantra bestows all benefits, even when chanted without faith or understanding. Text 40. He left his home and other connections and began wandering among pilgrimage places, maintaining his bodily needs by begging. And thus he traveled to the place where the Ganga meets the ocean. Commentary. The Brahmana's chanting gradually increasing its effect, he soon gave up sinful activities and needless sense gratification and took up a renounced life. Text 41. There on the shore of the Ganga, he saw many Brahmanas, mostly family men, who were expert in all fields of knowledge and devoted to performing their prescribed duties. Commentary. Since the Tirtha he was visiting, Ganga Sagara, was in southern Bengal at the confluence of the Ganga and the sea, the Brahmanas he met were Bengalis. They were expert in the 14 Vedic departments of learning enumerated in the Vishnu Purana 3.6.27. The 4 Vedas, their 6 supplements, the Puranas, the Dharma Shastras, the Mimamsa interpretation of the Vedas, and the elaborate science of Nyaya, logic. These are the 14 departments of learning. Text 42. He heard them describe regular and occasional duties one is obliged to perform, optional duties for particular desires, and the fruit of these acts, attainment of heaven. Commentary. Brahmanas initiated into the Vedic rituals are expected to perform certain sacrifices regularly as a matter of duty. sacrifices like the Agnihotra Yajna, which must be done twice every day, at sunrise and sunset. Such brahmanas may also be obliged to execute other rituals because of special circumstances in their lives, when, for example, they must perform the Shraddha memorial on the anniversary of an elder's death. Besides these obligatory Nitya and Naimitika duties, a brahmana may also elect to undertake certain sacrifices and vows called kamya rituals to fulfill personal ambitions. Thus, there are three kinds of duties for Vedic brahmanas. The brahmana from Pragjyotish Pur may have heard the local brahmanas of Gangasagara thus glorify the principles of Dharma. Dharma arises from proper behavior, and the Lord of Dharma is the infallible personality of Godhead. A person who possesses good behavior has conquered both this world and the next. The local brahmanas may have also glorified heaven as the fruit of Dharma with such words as these: the happiness of the residents of heaven is untainted, it is never consumed by misery, and it comes to them just as they desire. This is from the Vadartha of Gadadhar Bhatta. Text 43. From the various words they spoke to express their determined vows, he saw how firm the brahmanas were in their intentions to perform these duties. His faith aroused, he began to follow this process according to their instructions. Commentary. The brahmana not only heard the glories of Dharma in theory, but saw exemplars practicing what they preached. He heard them declare their intentions, sankalpas, to perform such duties as bathing daily in the Ganga, and then watching as they diligently carried these duties out. Although in all his life he had received no useful spiritual education, these brahmanas were now carefully teaching him the principles of Dharma according to their understanding. Text 44. Out of respect for the goddess's order, he regularly continued to chant his mantra quietly in private. And by the influence of the mantra, he felt no inner satisfaction from those rituals. Commentary. Attraction to worshipping the Supreme Lord defeats attraction to lesser religious practices. Text 45. He therefore lost interest and went to Kashi, where he saw people from many different regions, especially sannyasis, propounding the theory of monism. Text 46. He offered his obeisances. He first offered his obeisances to Lord Vishweshwar, and then visited the various ashramas, where he bowed down to the sannyasis, had discussions with them, and rested in their company. Commentary. As the deity Vishweshwar, Lord Shiva presides over his sacred abode of Kashi, also known in Sanskrit as Varanasi, and popularly as Benares. And it's 8:05. I made up some of the time I lost. Thank you very much. We'll end the reading today, and tomorrow we'll find out what the Brahmana learned from these sannyasis in Benares, which you may remember from our reading of Chaitanya Charitamrita recently was the place where Lord Chaitanya enlightened Sanatana Goswami at the Dashashwamedha Ghat, in the famous place, Benares, Kashi. Okay, that's it for today, for the reading. Let us have some reflections and discussion, comments. Hare Krishna. The ball is in your court. Sham Kishore is dutifully scrolling down to find.
This is from Krishna Premavati Devi Dasi.
Mm-hmm.
Where the Ganga meets the ocean Bengal.
Where does the ocean meet the Ganga in Bengal?
Yeah.
It's called Ganga Sagara. It's the place where Kapila Dev went there and performed meditations. It's a famous place of pilgrimage.
And Nitya, Namika, and Kamya duties for Brahmanas in Varnashram. ...
Well, we don't, as students of the Bhagavatam and the Brhad Bhagavatamrta, followers of Lord Chaitanya, we're not interested in those things, actually. One of the reasons why this is put in the beginning of this book is to cast aside these things gradually as meaningless. It's part of the story. This Brahmana will eventually come in contact with Gopakumar when he goes to Vrindavan. And then the goddess Kamakya, actually it was Radharani who spoke to him through the goddess Kamyaka. And then Radharani went to Gopakumar and said, "You please favor this Brahmana who's going to come see you," by explaining to him the goal of life. Hare Krishna.
From Brian Swanson.
From Braja Balaba.
Braja Balaba. From Braja Balaba.
Hey Braj, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances or glories to Srila Prabhupada. Is it offensive for a devotee to offer obeisances to an impersonalist sannyasi?
No, actually, Prabhupada taught us this, even though he spoke so negatively about monistic sannyasis, Mayavad sannyasis. He once, one of them came to see him in New York, and the devotees were all there in his room, and he came in, and Prabhupada insisted that he come and sit with him on the same seat. And afterwards the devotees were confused, and they asked Prabhupada, "Prabhupada, you always tell us to kick the face of the Mayavadis with your boots, and yet you treated him with such affection and respect." And Prabhupada said, "Yes, that is the etiquette, spiritual etiquette. When you meet a person in the renounced order of life, you must give him proper respect. One of the duties of human life." So no, it's not offensive. Hare Krishna. But that doesn't mean we accept their teachings and follow anything that they say. It's simply a social etiquette. It's dharma, from Dharma Shastra. Hare Krishna.
And that's from Vamshivilas. Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for the reading. I hope you will tolerate my sharing a wonderful experience I once had with this part of the Brhad Bhagavatamrta. I was preparing to give a class on the 5 potent items of devotional service, like chanting, hearing, and so on, as described in Nectar of Devotion. I was studying how they can bestow perfection, even without faith. Just before giving the class, I happened to read this section of Brhad Bhagavatamrta, and I realized that the Brahman and Gopal Kumar a little later are perfect examples of people who achieve wonderful results from chanting even without faith.
Yes. It's not that they were without faith. They weren't knowledgeable. They were innocent. Especially Gopal Kumar. He was just a young boy, and he was born in Govardhan. So he had a natural, pious attitude just from his birth. So he didn't have full faith in the mantra, but still he had some qualification from previous lives. Especially the mantra describes in the Bhagavatam that anybody who's chanting regularly the Hare Krishna mantra must have done pious activities in their previous life, even if externally it seems that they don't have any faith, or they're doing it just out of, innocence, or out of sentimentality or whatever. Hare Krishna.
Just a few comments from Radha Madan Mohan Boxtel. Hare Krishna, dear Maharaj, and all friends of Glories to Srila Prabhupada Jai, Brhad Bhagavatamrta. From Manjari Jai, Guru Maharaj, we are so grateful that even after 5 hours of intense seva, you still sit down with us to deliver the Brhad Bhagavatamrta nectar.
Hare Krishna, it's my duty. I made a vow, and when you make a vow, you have to keep the vow. When you make a vow and keep it, you get strength. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, everyone, for reciprocating with me, for helping me do this intense yajna that I'm doing. By being with me in the evening and reading the Brhad Bhagavatamrta is giving me strength. So I thank you very much. This is the most potent process for becoming advanced in devotional service, to hear the absolute truth in the company of other like-minded devotees. So I thank you very much. Sri Brhad Bhagavatamrta ki jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. See you tomorrow night, same place, same time, same topic. The creme de la creme. De la creme, 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 de la creme. Hare Krishna. See you tomorrow. Hari Bol.